Jersey's own Zach Gelb. Or maybe it's Pennsylvania. Anyhow, it's one of the two, I'm pretty sure. The Zach Gelb Show continues on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. 609-9199-D200. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. 416 is the time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. To start the show, we've been talking a lot about Aaron Hernandez, found dead today. Did commit suicide at about 3:05 this morning and then was pronounced dead at 4:07 this morning, and he has passed away at the age of 27. We know that he was in prison for killing Odin Lloyd, and he just recently was found not guilty of murder of two other people about under a week ago. So now let's get the scene up in Boston and in the New England area from Comcast Sportsnet's very own Gary Tanguay, who's kind enough to hop on board with us right now. Gary, appreciate a few minutes, and how are you?
Hey, doing great, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. So when you woke up this morning and you saw the news that Aaron Hernandez took his own life, what was that first thought that came to mind? What was your reaction?
Well, now I understood his reaction when he was not convicted of the most recent charges of a double murder. When the jury announced not guilty, he broke down in tears, and I was shocked to see it because I felt that Hernandez, who was a gang member, just a terrible person, and just this person who had shown no remorse for anything that he had done. When I saw him break down crying, I thought, what is going on here? This has not been his M.O. So when I heard that he had taken his own life, I said, well, maybe something was going on here we didn't know, because as you take a look at the entire picture here with Aaron Hernandez, there was a lot of mental instability, is just putting it too lightly. I've always wondered if it was multiple personalities, if, obviously there's a lot of depression and just because this guy he could charm you to death, like a serial killer. He could charm you to death and think that he was the boy next door, that he was so grateful for getting a chance at the Patriots. And then, in the next breath, he could shoot his buddy in the eye with a gun. So I had never seen him showing any sort of remorse or any emotion. So when I saw those tears, I said, maybe this guy's cracking a little bit. And I guess he did.
It was very shocking, I agree with you, when you saw him breaking down crying a little under a week ago. And today, you see that the reaction, some people, rightfully so, are saying, I could care less if Aaron Hernandez is dead. He's a scumbag, and that's the camp that I reside in. But then you see others that feel sympathy for Aaron Hernandez and say today's a sad day for Aaron Hernandez. To me, I think it's a sad day for the family of Odin Lloyd every day. I think it's a sad day for Hernandez's daughter and also his brother and his family. But with Aaron Hernandez, I feel no sympathy for him. Do you feel any sympathy for Aaron Hernandez?
No, because at the end of the day, we all make choices. But I think that, I think maybe I understand just, you could use a lot of words to describe him. Monster, animal. This guy was like smoking PCP the morning the state police picked him up. So you're talking about somebody who's a psychopath, obviously has a lot of mental issues. Hardcore stuff going on. So then when you see the fact that he committed suicide, I'm not saying it provides I think a clearer picture of what we were dealing with. We were dealing with an emotional train wreck that doesn't justify any of it, but it brings into focus, I think, just how mentally damaged he was. Which again, listen, he made choices. Mental illness is not an excuse for killing somebody. Oh, I'm mentally ill. Oh, well, that's okay. Well, okay, you made it. No, I'm not saying that at all. I just think it brought another angle into the picture.
You used the word charming earlier when describing him, and there were two sides of him. And I heard that Tom Curran used that word earlier as well on our station when he was on with Dan Patrick earlier this morning. And I had David Nelson, one of his teammates, on last week, and he did talk about clearly the two sides of him. just with your interactions with him, can you just give me a little bit more perspective of what he was like when you did have some time to talk to him?
Naive. This is how good he was. And the sheriff who ran the prison where he was at, and this guy had a lot of experience in Florida dealing with inmates, and then moved up here to Boston. And he said Aaron Hernandez was the best at deception and manipulation that he had ever seen. So he could charm you much like a serial killer can charm you and think that they are just the greatest person in the world. Meanwhile, they end up slitting your throat. He had that ability. So when I met him, I just thought he was sort of naive, a kid that came from a very tough background and was looking to get out, a kid that seemed to be very appreciative to the Kraft family for the contract that he had received. I had no clue, but then I had heard some rumblings and I had heard some concerns with the Patriots that, when Gronkowski, a lot of people would be critical of Gronkowski because, he's body slamming his brother in Vegas while he, his elbows in a cast. And I said, I said, isn't that a concern to Bill? And I was told that they said Gronkowski's not the tight end the Patriots are worried about. And I was like, really? So that was the first indication I had heard that there was something going on there. Now, in hindsight, I talked to a lot of players who had played with him, and they said, they knew from day one this guy was bad news. Welker, Matt Light, all of them. Like, they knew this guy was, really bad news. But he was so smooth and so charming to the media, you would never know it.
Gary Tanguay with us right now, and there's one thing to see and kind of feel that this kid was going down the wrong path, and that's how a lot of players that I've talked to and that you've talked to, they felt. But no one, I think, could have imagined that it was to this extent where he was killing people. How much do you think the Patriots really did know? Because a lot of people nationally will say, the Patriots had to know more. They know everything about their players.
I don't think that they knew he was capable of murder. I don't think that they realized that he had gone so far down the road with the PCP and the drugs. They knew that he did not leave the gang life that he grew up in Connecticut behind him. They knew that he enjoyed that status, that he enjoyed being a gang member. They knew that he still had a lot of friends who had questionable character. So they knew all that. But then again, there are a lot of guys in the NFL, that haven't left their childhood friends behind. And there's a lot of teams that have guys where they go, boy, man, we could get the phone call and that would be it. So I do think that that's what they knew, but I don't think they had any idea he was capable of this. Having said that, I do believe that they are very quick to pull the trigger now. I'm not saying that Jimmy Collins is Aaron Hernandez, but Jimmy Collins, he and the coaching staff, they were not getting along. He wanted a big contract. I had heard there was some off-field stuff with Collins, and I think the Patriots right now, when they see any indication of potential trouble off the field, or they're like, no thanks. I mean, this has made them gun-shy, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Do you think they should have provided some kind of comment today, or no, you don't think that was the right thing to do?
I don't think that was the right thing to do. I think that they said what they needed to say when Belichick went to the podium, when Hernandez went to prison. Bill said, it stops with me. I'm responsible. I'm the coach. I'm the general manager, the president. I decide who's on the team, who comes through the door, and, I'm accountable. And I thought that's all he needed to say. And that's it. It was over. There's no question that the team has talked about how, the sensitivity of the families involved. The two guys who were killed in the South End, in which Hernandez was acquitted for me, they just went out. I mean, Odin Lloyd was, a friend of his, and, I'm not listening to Odin Lloyd. Certainly no one deserves to die, but, I think that, Odin, he knew what he was doing with Hernandez. They were allegedly running guns with all the drugs, so he was running with a bad crowd. These two guys, they were just going out. They were dancing. They showed up at a stoplight, and then next thing you know, they got popped. So, that's terrible. So I think the team is very sympathetic to that, but I don't think they need to say anything.
Gary Tanguay with us right now. There's some innuendo, and it was on Kirk and Callahan's show where it did start up in Boston at Sports Radio WEI that there was a chance that Hernandez was gay, and Lloyd knew that, and that's why he ended up killing Lloyd. What are you hearing on that end with that conspiracy theory?
I haven't heard much. I don't know about that. The conspiracy theory I heard was that the reason he killed Lloyd, this isn't a conspiracy theory, was because he thought that Lloyd was going to rat him out for the 2 murders in the South End, and that's why he killed Lloyd. And now he gets acquitted for those murders in the South End, so he feels guilty for killing his friend Lloyd when he didn't have to. That's one theory I've heard. I've heard another theory that he was murdered. His agent's pushing that one for whatever reason. Which I don't buy. I do believe he took his own life. But the gay theory, I've heard it, but I've only heard it with Kirk and Callahan, so I don't hold a lot of credence to that.
Any chance that he would have won his appeal? Do you think, how much of a chance did you give it for him winning this appeal?
I don't think he would have won it. I mean, I still think that, I guess the problem is that the witnesses actually, no one ever came forward and actually said they saw him pull the trigger. It was like one guy was in the car, he got out of the car with the other guy, heard the gunshots, one guy came back. So I don't think he would have won the appeal. I think that if he had a true chance to win the appeal or felt he had a chance to win the appeal, I don't know if he would have committed suicide.
Wrapping up with Gary Tanguay, who joins us right now. I'll get back to Hernandez in just a second, but the Patriots were at the White House today celebrating their championship trophy, their 5th Super Bowl victory, where they came from behind in resilient fashion to defeat the Atlanta Falcons. We know that's been a lot of controversy, some players going, some players not going. What did you think of the whole Patriots at the White House today?
Well, I thought Bill Belichick, he loved it. I mean, he and his girlfriend Linda, they got a picture in the Oval Office. I mean, he and Trump have been boys for a long time. They belong to the same country club in Florida. I've seen Donald Trump on the sidelines at Gillette Stadium for the last 15 years. He and, as he said, Bob Kraft, they've been really tight. So Bob and Bill, they loved it. They were just eating this stuff up. I thought that the administration went out of their way to point out that there was diversity in the crowd because there were some patriots of minorities. Devin McCourty, who chose not to attend. Dante Hightower, he didn't attend, but some say that wasn't politically motivated. He just didn't feel like going. So it was just really obvious that President Trump went out of his way to say, hey, there are black people here too. Which is, I'm like, whatever. I mean, that's what I took from it. I just believe that, and I'm a Democrat. I just believe that, you should go to the White House. It doesn't matter who the president is, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat or how much of a jerk you think he or she may or may not be or whatever. It's all about the White House. That's what the leader of our country is. I think you should go. I thought Theo Epstein, when he didn't go for President Bush, I thought he should have gone. When Tim Thomas didn't go for President Obama, I thought he should have gone. When Brady didn't go for Obama, I thought he should have gone. I just think it's a great honor. It's the least you can do. And it's really too bad it's become a political statement. And it's kind of, it's the White House. I mean, my God, you won a championship and you are being invited to the White House. I still think that's a big deal.
Yeah, but Gary, I don't have a big problem with it because it's their right. Like, we had Devin McCourty on this show, and he talked about the decision. He just talked about how he doesn't feel right going and supporting what's going on, and that's a personal decision. So if a guy doesn't want to go, why should he be forced to go?
Oh, he shouldn't be forced to go. Not at all, but I just wish Devin looked at it in a different manner. I mean, look, he disagrees with Trump. A lot of us disagree with President Trump, but I would still go. Because it's the White House. It's not the Trump house. It is for 4 years or maybe 8 years, but I would still go. It's the White House. It's where democracy lives, or Congress where democracy lives. I would still go. I mean, to me, who the president is kind of irrelevant. But, I mean, Devin disagrees with me, and so do you, and that's fine. A lot of people do. But, yeah, I mean, you have a right to, go or not go.
Hey, I'll tell you, though, I think Stephen A. Smith should apologize to Brady because he ripped him the last time the Patriots won the Super Bowl. He didn't go, and then probably today he was fine with the decision of Brady not to go see Donald Trump.
Of course. Well, the Brady thing, I mean, his mother's been ill. I can understand why he's with his mother. And I don't think Giselle would be too happy with him going either. But, Tom, we saw his mom at the Super Bowl. His parents are celebrating their anniversary. They have always been a very close family. So, I've lost both my parents. So, I mean, when you know your mom's sick, you want to spend every day with her. So I don't begrudge him for that. And Tom's not political. I mean, Tom, he plays golf with Trump. I mean, he's in that whole celebrity circle. You know what I mean? Like he hangs out with Ben Affleck and this star and that model and Trump. I mean, he's not political. That's just all the whole celebrity society thing. That's all that is.
Gary, last one with Gary Tanguay, who joins us right now for Comcast Sportsnet up in New England. Gary, before we let you run and just get him back to Hernandez, as you know, there's going to be 30 for 30s about this. There are going to be a plethora of documentaries. Right. Let's say if they give you a call and they say, Gary, remember what happened with Aaron Hernandez, let's say in 5 years. What do you recall? What do you say if you were asked about Aaron Hernandez?
You think you know a guy, because you think that you know a person, and do you really? Do you really? That's what I would say. I mean, because I just remember talking to the guy. I mean, he's in the locker room. He's kind of shy and naive and humble. And we're like, oh, that guy's a good guy, And then you read and you hear all the other accounts and talking to players after, and it's just psychopath. Absolute psychopath.
Hey, Gary, we appreciate the perspective today. Thanks so much.
Take care, Zach. See you later.
There's Gary Tanguay joining us from CSN in New England. And with Hernandez, he's right. You think you know someone. If you were a young Patriot fan at that time or just a fan of the Patriots, you love the guy because of his athletic ability paired with Gronkowski. And then you find out in the summer that he gets arrested. And he's arrested for murder. And you're saying, what the heck is going on? And it's two sides. And Aaron Hernandez committed suicide this morning, and they found him dead at 3:05. No suicide note. Wasn't on any type of suicide watch. And for me, I can't say I feel sad or feel sorry for Aaron Hernandez and say, oh, it's a sad day, because to me, Aaron Hernandez is an awful person. He's human trash. He's garbage. He's the scum of the earth. He's a criminal. He's a thug. And he's a sick, twisted individual. And once again, the complexing part about this is that this is someone that could have had it all. He could have had everything. Family, fame, fortune, a lucrative contract that he just signed. But the thing that impeded him was this obsession and this other life and this other side of him that was obsessed with this awful gang culture. And Aaron Hernandez, I feel no sympathy for. Like I said, open the show, I feel sympathy for the family of Odin Lloyd. I feel sympathy for Aaron Hernandez's brother, for his daughter. I feel no sympathy for Aaron Hernandez. He is someone that had a golden chance that people would do anything in the world for. And he absolutely blew it. And he ruined that opportunity. This guy is one of the sickest people you will ever meet. And the deception is just unimaginable. Yeah, you could know, oh, yeah, he's probably going down the wrong path. You could hear that talk, but no one could have predicted this. No one could have predicted that he was just a killer. And it's something that when you talk about athletes that what could have been, Aaron Hernandez will be one of the first people you will always bring up because he had all the God-gifted talent. He had all the ability in the world. And for some reason, he had to go down the wrong path. This was not a mistake what he did. It wasn't. He knew what he was doing. And it was contagious to him. And that is where we are today, where this morning Aaron Hernandez committed suicide, and you look at that span from 20 to 27 and all the potential, but the ultimate decline was today when he takes his own life. And you also talk about the decline where he was just obsessed with killing people. And to me, he's a criminal. I understand that he technically died an innocent man according to Massachusetts law because he wasn't able to exhaust all of his options and now he's deceased. But this guy is one of the most twisted individuals that some people have ever met. And his actions cost the lives of many. 609-919-9200, Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920. The Jersey time right now in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios, 4:37. We'll take a break. Ron Duguay still to come at the top of the hour at 5 o'clock. But when we come back, we got to talk some Rangers. Rangers tie up the series. They knotted up at 2 apiece. Have a big Game 5 tomorrow in Montreal. But we'll recap Game 4. That was at MSG last night. I was in the building. Back after this on a very busy edition of the Zach Gelb Show.